Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Phil Diaz of Zaid Comics. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, man. It's
Yeah,
good to be back.
yeah, you were just on it like a month ago, not even, right?
Yeah, I think I jumped in. You just had like the link in the chat, and you were just hanging out, having people like pitch their books and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And I came on and pitched the idea briefly for this one, which is now launched now.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, every once in a while, I do like if I can't get a guest or if I just feel like it. It looks like I have a black eye. I'll do a show called Pitch Black, and just open invite for anybody. I make it clear that I'm not endorsing the comics. I don't even know anything about these comics. It's kind of fun to do that. Yeah, and then Phil Diaz jumps on. It's like, dude, I would have had you on for an hour.
Yeah, well, I think I was still at work. I was just like wrapping up, going home for the day, tuning in, and then just jumped on for a second. So it was good. It was fun.
Yeah. So since you brought it up, we might as well talk about your comic first. And then there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you, but let me see.
Yeah.
I'm like old and sleepy. For those of you, I've been saying this all week. For those of you who don't know, my work schedule changed for the time being. I don't know how long, probably till December. I'm working 3:30 to like 10. So really the only times I could stream realistically is noon or midnight. So I give people a choice, and most people seem to be choosing midnight, which is fine, because in the morning I like to. You're a writer like me, right? You don't draw, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm a writer.
How often do you write, and do you have a routine? Do you have a schedule? And I'll bring up.
No, not really, because I have a day job as well, so I work from, I don't know, like 10 until 7-ish, 7 p.m. So, and then I come home and, have stuff to do. But so I usually write in the evening, late like this, unless I have like a role going and maybe I get a break at work or something and I could jot some stuff down. But it's weird because crowdfunding, like if I didn't have a day job, I'd be able to write so much more. And I feel like, and it's, grass is always greener, but I feel like I'd get way more done. And running, a campaign, how much work it is. So that just cuts into your writing time as well. So it's interesting.
So I would talk to people at 7, and then usually till 8, whatever, and then I would write a little bit every day. But I tell you, since I'm on the schedule, I haven't written a word. It's the morning, and I'm like, I feel like I just gotta wait to go to work. So like I don't do anything because I feel like don't start anything. I got to break out of that because I'm home by myself. My wife is at work. I got no excuse. And then I come home, I'll talk, and then I go right to bed. So like I'm getting nothing done. So I just Saturdays and Sundays these days.
Yeah, weekends are good, especially if you have a clear weekend. I mean, I like writing during the day as well. Having the sunlight there, it's a good change of pace. But we always got to. There's always something else to do.
So Saturdays, but I make a point to do something for my comic every day. Whether it's a big thing or a small things. Like right now, the lettering is all done, so I'm going over the making sure that the word balloons are correct. Making sure the story makes sense, and then when the last page is lettered, I'll send it over to the editor. But anyway, let's talk about your comic over here. We got The Man with No Strings. So this is about puppets, right? This is scary puppets that come to life and kill people.
No. This is about a lone gunman who is on path of revenge, and he is cursed at some point in his life by a witch. And the farther down the path of revenge he goes, the more of his soul he loses. So his soul rots with every life he takes on this path of bullets and blood. It's going to be a long running, ongoing series. We're going to see flashbacks of his youth and how he got to where he is, all of those that have wronged him. And he's going to see how much he's willing to lose, how much of himself he's willing to lose in order to get back what's been taken from him. So if you love spaghetti westerns, you're going to dig this. It has definitely a kind of like 1980s Vertigo twist to it. So the storytelling is wrapped in mysticism and the supernatural, but with a very in your face spaghetti western aesthetic.
Now, who's doing this art?
The artist is Oliver Isabedra, freaking phenomenal artist. He's been working on it with me since day one.
Now, this reminds me of 90s Image.
Yeah.
But my big problem with 90s Image is it was all image. There was no writing worth a damn, no storytelling worth a damn. But I know you're a good writer. I read a big stack of your stuff.
Thanks, man.
I think this is gonna, and you know what? I think westerns are coming back. I think you know, I do mostly superhero stuff, and I'm getting the itch to do a western too. So this is something that I'm excited to do. I'm gonna back this.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I love the contrast, because that's when people see it, they're like, oh man, this reminds me of Mark Silvestri. Kind of like that 90s feel to it. And that's the stuff Oliver loves. And I love that art as well. But my job as the writer is to bring across a story the audience can connect with and remember, themes that are gonna, they're really gonna make them feel something as they go through this story. So that's, I mean, even, when I put out a new Lost Pages book, I always try to give you that in your face, top quality art that tricks you into reading a good story.
Yeah. I'm excited. So
thank you.
I mean, the Lost Pages is supernatural, and I don't know, superhero-ish. I'm not,
sure.
Yeah, and like, of course, every time I talk to you, I bring up how much I love the people. I just think it's such a great concept. Man, like I said, there's a few times I get jealous when I see a name. I'm like, oh man, that's a perfect name for Vigilante. The people, that is so good. You and Dave Brink just have such good superhero names.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I love creating characters, just like you. Dave is great at it as well, and he obviously takes joy in creating characters. But yeah, so the Lost Pages was definitely more of our superhero type universe that I was able to just have lots of fun with coming up with characters from kind of different hero genres. You have your supernatural elements, your mystical vigilante characters in there that are, it's all going to wrap together as well. And this is totally straight, 1800s Western with a mystical twist to it. Where you'll see that more is when we get into the antagonists of the story. There's a little hint of it on the cover there. You're going to see monsters, witches, ghouls, and of course he is cursed. So it's going to have quite a lot of different elements that you're not used to seeing in your classic.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like giant spiders. I mean, I don't think I'm rooting anything when it's just
sure.
When it's a big web on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I think, I'm also, I mean, that's a big element of fantasy too. For some reason, there's always a giant spider in every epic fantasy.
Yeah, I had a giant scorpion robot. No giant spiders yet, but
okay.
Maybe the next time my Dr. Robug shows up. But I mean, I submitted a story to Fabrizio Aiello, and he's gonna draw it when he's done with Horace H. Hoover, and it's set in the West, and it's set in the 1800s, but it's not a Western.
Cool.
That's what I mean? So it's not cowboys and Indians, it's not horses, but it's set in a gold rush town, a real town where Science City, where the patriarch lives, and that's his city, and it's gonna talk about the city before it was Science City, and then it became a ghost town, and then in around the 1980s rather, they started to make a real city there. But no giant spiders, but there are monsters and non-traditional Western stuff. So but I do have a Western. my second story was going to be a cowboy versus vampires, and I thought it was so original. And then I started seeing that a lot of people kind of have this a similar. So I didn't get rid of it, but it's on the back burner. You know,
there's a great Western that involves vampires and zombies, and it's by Kevin Eastman and Simon Bisley. It's called a Fistful of Blood.
Oh wow!
And it's like this super hot, buxom babe who plays like the hero with no name. I think they call her Blondie in there.
No bra. Yeah, that's
oh, she's the first 5 pages. She's topless in that thing. So, but yeah, that was a hilarious and really cool story that they did a while ago.
My Western. We'll get back to your story, but you made me think. Well, I made myself think of it, but it was about it was totally inspired by The Matrix.
Oh, really?
Cool. I'll bring up your comic again.
Yeah, no problem.
This is the way I like conversations. Things just go around. Mm-hmm. But it was, we also in The Matrix. The first Matrix movie was absolutely wonderful. The second, third movies I have problems with, but they're fun to watch if you don't think about them too much.
I agree.
The first movie, the whole premise was, and people tell me I'm wrong, but then I rewatched the movie and I don't think I'm wrong, but maybe I am, that the robots they don't particularly care about humanity. They're just using humanity as power sources.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like originally, I think it was they were using their brains as living computers. But then what I saw in the movies was they were living power batteries, and they used the humans. And I was like, how inefficient is that? Like so that means the robots got to farm, they got to get food. You know what I mean? Like, and they got to get all this. And how much energy goes into keeping a human alive? As because if we right now could get energy out of you don't think evil corporations would there would be like underground cities filled with like
bodies,
abducted people, you know what I mean?
Who says there's not? Good
point. Absolutely good point. You know what I mean? So I was just thinking, okay, that's a bad, and I just kept thinking like if the Matrix really, wouldn't they use cows? They're less trouble. They probably put out more body heat, more energy, than humans. You know what I mean? But anyway,
yeah, I can see that. Sure.
Then I started thinking of cows as energy sources, and then I was like, I talked to like Brian Bow and all the guys who do monster comics. I'm like, could vampires exist on cows? Like, do they need human blood?
Mm-hmm.
And that put me down like a whole concept of like, what? So I was thinking like, and then the Twilight movies, they were like vegetarians, they called them, like vampires that didn't feed on humans. So then I decided that vampires have to feed on human blood, otherwise there's no point to vampires. But they could feed on non-human blood, but it's not as good. It's not, they don't get the energy, like
not as nutritious.
Right. It doesn't give them whatever. So I was thinking, what if there was a group of ranchers that were vampires? And they, you know what I mean? Are they still evil because they're vampires? And that started a whole rabbit hole of this cowboy, the lone stranger, and he gets caught up with a bunch of ranchers and he finds out that they're vampires. And he's just like, I got to slaughter them all. They're vampires.
Yeah.
But the vampires are like, you eat cows. Like who's the bad guy? So that started a whole story. So I basically just told everybody my whole Western idea, but it spawned a whole vampire saga, like but whatever.
That's cool.
I don't know. I want to work with that story someday. It's going to be called Off Into the Sunset because it's a Western about vampires and sunset.
I like that. Yeah, I think it's good to like say these things out loud, pitch them to people, theory craft, and even if it's you don't get to it for years. Like this story, the Western I'm doing, I started conceptualizing it like 3 or 4 years ago, and I wrote the script originally for this issue 0 was only 6 pages when I wrote it, and then I told my buddies about it. Kenneth Rocafort was a big like advocate of me making this thing. He's like, oh, this is really cool, you should pursue this. And so now it's a ongoing series. Like I've extrapolated and expanded it out from just an idea that was going to be a short story, and it's something that we're going to be putting out for a while.
Cool. I'm excited. I mean, this art looks like this doesn't. I don't mean this as an insult, but this art looks mainstream. Like this could be on a comic book shelf in a perfect world.
No, that's amazing. I agree. I appreciate that.
And I already know you're a good writer. You know, I have, like I said, a stack full of your stuff. I got all the lost pages, and I just remember it was like this thick, this stack. I just want to say hello to everybody. We got Zach Tan. Why is that? My internet's not working. Olafembi, how you doing? Good to see you. And Arkham Hobbies and Hanging. He says, Arkham. It's funny because he's doing a Greek mythology superhero story for me right now.
Awesome. I love that.
I think it was 12 pages, and he's already like got ideas that it's going to turn into bigger pages.
I love mythology.
Yeah,
that is a big motivator for me to start writing comics. Was just my love for mythology. I took a mythology class in college, and it changed everything.
I love. Well, I'm doing a Norse mythology comic. You know. I'm doing. Me and Renzo started it, and Oscar, my colorist, Renzo the artist, and myself. It's a biographical, true story of the life of Saint Nicholas, but as told by Odin as he's trying to escape Ragnarok.
That's cool.
So that's
super unique.
Yeah, so that's Norse mythology, and then I got Arkham over here doing my Greek mythology story.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I want to ask you, like, I'm a continuity freak and everything like this. Is this set in the same world as the Lost Pages, or is this its own thing?
No, this will be its own thing. It is. It's not connected, and then there will be a definitive ending. And this is issue 0, so it's going to get everybody into the world. You're going to understand it. You'll know this guy's mission and motivation. Issue 1 is already drawn as well. So issue 1 it'll be out. You know, we'll be selling that probably by the end of the year as well.
Oh, cool. And how many pages? How many issues?
Right now, I don't know, because there's a lot of content and a lot of plots I want to get through. But so I've said on past streams this week that I think it could be well over 20 issues, this series, because there's a lot I want to do with it.
Oh, cool. So is it one of those things where if it's doing well, you could keep it going for a while, and if it's all right, you can end it whenever you want, you know?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think I would want to end it short. You know?
All right. Well, nobody wants, you know.
Sure, of course.
Hey, John, want a sneak peek? Yeah. Send me some art. Send me some art.
Ooh,
I was gonna show Phil that a page in a little bit when we get a next break. Interesting. I want to ask Phil Diaz if there's any mythology you want to use to make your own comic.
Yes, there's actually a lot of mythology I'm putting into the Lost Pages through my wildcard character, who's like he's an eternal sorcerer. He's an apprentice to Merlin. So in his first appearance, he actually fights Anubis a little bit, but he's kind of my sector of that series where he's going to dip his toe into a lot of mythology and mythological monsters. But I do have a Norse story that I want to do eventually.
Cool. I love Greek mythology. I really do. But like Greek mythology and Norse mythology, they just have such different feels. Like Greek mythology is it's like classic rock. I know this is such a stupid thing to say, but
I'm following you.
But Norse mythology is heavy metal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. And then also down the line, I have a character who has ties in with Egyptian mythology, like a hero that will deal with Egyptian mythology, but that's in a totally different series. Like 5 years from now, I'll probably get to do that. You know?
Yeah,
I gotta finish stuff.
I love Egyptian mythology, but I just don't know it that well. And my problem is I'm anal retentive. I think we probably talked about this, or I forget who, but I talk about it all the time. When I was a kid, I used to read Greek mythology, and I would write the myths on index cards, and I would try to put them in chronological order.
Wow.
You know, okay, so this happened first, but wait a minute. Hermes was just born in this story, so this has to happen before that. But that doesn't make sense because they mentioned Hermes. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
So I had like this working, living chronological order of Greek mythology, whereas Norse mythology, there's really only like one or two sources of Norse mythology that survived. You know, so it's pretty consistent, although most of it is lost. You know, there's so much Norse mythology we just don't know. But and now I've been reading that there's a lot of lost Greek mythology. It's just that there was so much Greek mythology because it covered so much area and so much time. You know, there was the Mycenaean mythology that was pretty much just all lost. You know, though we can't even understand the writing. And then the classical Greek, which was trying to understand the Mycenaean myths, and then just so much lost. I would love to learn all that. You know, I'm still mad that the Library of Alexandria was destroyed. You know, just all those plays and, you know, all that information. I don't believe that there was like future technology stuff in it, but I do think that there was a lot of myths, plays, and just culture that was lost.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's so fascinating. Like, and seeing all of the similarities in big stories from those cultures and myths, and how it's, you know, the interconnected and, you know, the collective unconscious having connections between those stories. It's fascinating.
I just want to show this now. While we're talking about this, but this is a page from my Greek mythology story.
Yeah. Did you post it? I feel like you posted.
Yeah, I've been showing anybody who's interested.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This is Arkham, who's in the chat right now. This is
wow.
The script just said, you know, the hero. Here's the hero. Oh, did it stop? What happened? Oh,
just click on it again.
Yeah, I clicked on it again. But the script just said, you know, he gets a glimpse of Tartarus.
That's crazy.
And then I said, go nuts. And he went nuts. Look at that. So there's Typhon.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. I can't wait. Turns out we didn't lose much. The library had a lot of women. Yeah, it was all gender studies. So there you go. So,
oh man, but those are the things that inspire me and really pushed me to start writing more. Is mythology. Once I kind of like because I wanted to be a mythology teacher for a little bit.
Oh wow!
And then I got really into writing. I was taking short story classes and poetry classes in school, and I figured that, you know, comics, also was really into comics. Comics is like modern mythology, and I wanted to create that myself, you know?
Yeah. It's funny that you said that because, you know, as a kid, I was really into Greek mythology, Norse mythology. So I'll just say mythology, Arthurian legends, comic books, and believe it or not, the Old Testament. You know, because to me that it all filled the same niche. And then as I got older, I got into history. But like real history to me, it was like, well, there's not going to be gods and monsters and lightning bolts and stuff like that. And so, but I got fascinated, and I wanted to be, and I went to college to be an ancient European teacher. You know, Greek, Roman, Greco-Persian history. That's what my degree is in, and that's what I wanted to teach. But I ended up a construction worker because there's really, man, the politics of becoming a college professor is you know,
I couldn't imagine. Yeah.
You have to be poor for so long, you know what I mean, before, and then you have to move to different colleges. You know, I guess I like my material stuff too much. I just I couldn't do it. I agree with Phil about keep mythology making your and now I'm working with Oscar, and Oscar lives in Mexico, and he's into Mayan mythology.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he got me to read a couple of comics based on Mayan mythology, and I got to admit, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
because the names are unpronounceable to me. So I keep coming up with ideas for it, and he just goes, "No, that's too gringo. That's too gringo." I'm like, "Well, I'm a gringo. What do you want me to do?"
There's one of my characters in the Lost Pages, a villain in Volume 2. His name's El Dorado, and he's based on, obviously, City of Gold and that Central America kingdom that El Dorado is based on. And he gets an amulet, and it shoots like golden beams, and he blows the bottom of his face off, so you see his bones that are now encased in gold on his mouth. He's pretty cool. So that was fun to research and get into a little bit too.
It's funny that you said it, because while I was reading that story, I was just like, Phil, because I have a whole thing for El Dorado. Yeah. El Dorado, what we know is El Dorado is, we always think of it as a city, but El Dorado literally means the golden one, and we say the city of El Dorado. So the city where the golden one came from. Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll understand when you get Heroic Tales #2 the importance of gold.
Yeah.
In my world, because I already told a few people, but Plato in the Republic talked about a few things that I'm completely ripping off, but one of them is orichalc, and orichalc was this magic metal that the ancient Atlanteans used, and I've since heard that it's in a couple of video games, which irks me to no end because I thought I was being so clever. But like every comic book, they have their magic metal, vibranium, adamantium, or DC lithium, and stuff like that. So in my world, it's orichalc. The orichalc literally is gold, but if you bury it at the crossroads of ley lines, and ley lines are, I can get real nerdy now, but in my world, ley lines are where different dimensions cross over. So so think of it as plate tectonics, but it's more than universes, it's multiverses colliding. So when there's a ley line, we always draw it as a line, but it's really a sheet that extends through the universe. So each ley line bisects the universe. Cool. And Hecate, the goddess of the crossroads, is how we think of crossroads as a road, but the real Hecate is the goddess of these nexuses of ley lines. She stands between. That's why she has 3 heads, because she's literally in different.
That's cool. I like that.
But anyway, if orichalc just happens to be, if gold happens to be at the intersection of all these ley lines, all the universes collide. They cause friction, and that causes like a cosmic energy, like a Jack Kirby crackle kind of cosmic energy. And over time, the gold transforms to orichalc, and then later on, I'm giving away a lot of spoilers. Later on, we find that all natural elements turn into this alchemical stuff. So we, iron will turn into adamantium, silver will turn into mithril, hydrogen turns into philostin, and sulfur turns into brimstone, and there are all of these magical, but it's a mix between magic and science. So that's to me. And orichalc, in alchemy, is the mineral of transformation, and it turns people to it. So it creates superpowers. So then once I came up with that concept, and I'm reading Greek mythology, all these references to gold are really references to orichalc. It's just that we didn't know that. So like the golden were really these orichalc things. The golden fleece was really this fleece laced with orichalc, and it's this energy that transforms people. So so you could only imagine how powerful El Dorado is.
Yeah,
he's the city of this person who basically mastered orichalc. So that's going to be,
That's awesome.
So he's not this, when they're throwing gold into the river, or, supposedly the myth of El Dorado is they would throw gold as an offering to the gods into a lake.
Yeah.
And the Spaniards, like, we got to go there. There must be, but what they were really doing is these people figured out that was a nexus of all these ley lines. So there is just enormous power.
Do you touch on the golden calf in your universe?
Yeah, the golden calf was I give away a lot of spoilers. I'm not anything about Manoa, the golden calf, bulls.
You already thought of it then, because
Yes.
because the punishment was they had to grind the golden calf down and mix it in the water, and they had to drink the water, right?
The histon, the copper snake, that too.
All right, good. You
The
already
Ark
got
of the Covenant was gold plated. It was this Orichalc power source. Literally a power source.
that's cool.
So many cool things. Like again, there's all this stuff. Yeah, I didn't know that they had to drink it, but I know they had to destroy it. And yeah, wow, that
Yeah, but when Moses came down, they had it destroyed, ground up, and then the gold from the calf was mixed with water, and then everybody that was worshiping it had to drink it. I learned that from the Action Bible.
nice.
Right next to me here. So
I got to look it up. I telepathic buddy and I once in a while we do a show theology. We talk crazy stuff from the Old Testament, and then he gets mad at me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but that sounds awesome. Yeah, gold. I have through like gold imagery and themes and stuff through the Lost Pages as well.
Yeah, but that's why that's why gold has value, because the elites know they could power gold and basically give themselves superpowers.
I like that.
Gold, because what really, like, I've been going down a rabbit hole as far as economics. Like, money really doesn't have any value unless we say it has value,
right?
Not that I don't want to sound like all commie, but like we got to have a system of barter and trading, and money works out fine. Mm-hmm. But the system only works because we agree it works. Mm-hmm. And the United States has the power to back it up. Like, that's another thing when people get mad. Like, why are we spending so much money on defense? So our money's worth money. Would you want China to set the economic rules of the world, or do you want the United States to set the world? How does it benefit you for China to become the world policy of economics? Mm-hmm. Gold standard thing here. And I'm getting into too much spoilers here, because that's what happens when I'm sleepy.
No more spoilers.
Sleepy and wired. So there you go.
It's a mixture. It's quite the mixture.
Oh, I will spoil this. So when each element through the Lee lines, they get enhanced and powered up. When silver turns into mithril, what do you think its power would be?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, what is silver's like most popular thing in like supernatural abilities?
It hurts werewolves.
Right. It kills vampires. It kills werewolves. So mithril could harm anything. So when you make Lord of the Rings, the mithril swords were the best swords. So there's this silver weapon that just could, it'll hurt ghosts. It'll hurt anything. And why do you think
supernatural?
Right. And what do you think the Lone Ranger? There's a reason why he made silver bullets.
Yeah.
There was things out in the West that needed taming. So
that's great. And I mean, it's so cool to work on multiple projects at once too, because like one day you might get a page from something, and then next week you get a page from something else, or just seeing this stuff become tangible is such a joy. There's like waves of production on a comic, writing it, collabing with an artist on concepts, getting concept art in is such a joy. It's so cool. But that's just the start of something that's going to take much longer time, and then getting those pages in, getting colors in, letters, all like steps of the way, you get those dopamine rushes,
right,
and then seeing it in people's hands.
So how many artists are you working with right now?
Let's see. Right now, 3. I'm working on 3 projects right now. The Man with No Strings being one. Lost Pages 4. My buddy Dan Dahl just started on that, which I'm super excited about. That's going to take some time. It's going to be a long one. And then my brother is drawing Magic Cop 3 right now. So we got 3 projects going on. Yeah, it's hectic, but it's really cool. Like last week I got the first page of Lost Pages 4 and I was just overjoyed. I was like, yes, this is so cool to be back working on that as well, because I had wrote the intro to that a while ago and he just got into production on it. So I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I'm working. Renzo is working on like 2 projects right now. I got Oscar and Tonic Wall working on another project. Arkham working on a 5th.
Yeah.
Luke Stone's working on one. Ron Mosicki's working on one. Jesus, it's more than I thought. I got a secret guy who made me promise to be quiet until he's done. and Fabrizio's working on and DC. I got 10 artists. So and Renzo's on a schedule, you know what I mean? And everybody else, I said, work at your own pace. If you finish tomorrow, I couldn't put it out because I need these 3 stories to be out first for the grand story to make sense. But like, it's excruciating waiting. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you get that just like exhaustion of, man, I feel like nothing's happening because nothing's come in, but it's right around the corner. You'll get a new page or whatever. Those are just weird lulls.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get a lot at once, and it's kind of overwhelming.
Sure. Yeah, and at the same time too, I'm lettering my buddy's project, which is also a Western. So I'm doing some lettering on the side, and but always keeping busy. I mean, having like for us being, I guess, project managers, or especially running the campaigns and always, doing the marketing and posting, making posts about it and updates for the campaign, like that's takes up, the week for where we should be writing, but someone's got to push and promote the stuff.
Yeah. And this at the beginning of the talk, I said I wanted to ask you about something. So is it okay because I know what you do for the day job? Is it okay if I bring that up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You run an arcade, like people go and physical pinball machines and old time. First off, I freaking love that. Second off, I'm kind of jealous that's how you pay your bills. That is awesome. And are there kids who go into this place like what is this place? Like,
Sure. Yeah, all the time. So I work for the Galloping Ghost Arcade, which we just had our 15-year anniversary last month. And we're like 20 minutes outside of Chicago. We're now the world's largest arcade. We have over 1,055 games at the arcade. And then we also have a pinball business, which is 2 blocks down. So you could do one or the other or both.
What do you like? So the arcade doesn't have pinball machines, and then the other place is just pinball machines?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's like 2.5 blocks away. So it's $30 for the whole day, includes pinball and arcade.
Okay, great. Because I love pinball, but I also love the arcade. I'm like, I don't know which one I'm picking.
Yeah. No, you could do the combo.
It's just about that ball rolling down and slapping the sides, and then figuring out I'm gonna tilt. I get away with, you know what I mean? Pinball is, like I said, it's very physical. I enjoy pinball so much better than video games and arcade games, but I also love those stand-up arcade games. Yeah,
it's awesome, and it's been a huge motivation for doing the comics as well. The owner is a great friend. I've known him for 15 years or whatever, but he's been super supportive in us pursuing comics. He helped us do like some of our first books where we didn't even have illustrated art. It was photographs of us in front of a green screen that my brother would Photoshop to look like a comic. So it was more like an Italian style comic. And we filmed it in the back of the arcade. They had a green screen like studio back there. And that's kind of how we got our start with the Silhouette, which was our first character.
That's another great name. I was this close before I even met you. I was this close to using the name Silhouette, but I didn't at the last minute.
He was our first one. We put those books out in 2012, 2011, and then took a big hiatus because I started going to school, and then came back to the Silhouette. And since then, I had been writing short stories with a bunch of different characters like Wildcard and Crimstone and the Masquerade, who were part of what turned into the Lost Pages. So when we crowdfunded those, I'm like, I need a way to introduce all these characters at once instead of taking 5 years to introduce them. So we created the Lost Pages and had that tie-in with the hobo who's telling these stories. So yeah, it all started.
You're gonna think I'm full of shit, but like, my comics grew out of my role playing games. I talk about this all the time. Villains, Vigilantes. Me and my friends have been playing. I just got news that my main player is moving in 2 years. I'm already stressing out that we're not going to finish the stories that we've been doing for 40 years.
Wow.
But, so I gotta have them over more often. But anyway, there was a villain called Masquerade.
Ooh.
And she wore the outfit, and she wore like this red hat and frill. But what she was like a female Arcade. But instead of putting you like the X-Men villain, but instead of putting you in like that, it was like she'd put you in like old like Venetian mask or balls.
Yeah, sure.
And some of them were like mannequins, and some of them were people assassins. So you never knew who was going to jump out to. So all the players were just killing mannequins and getting tired. You know what I mean? Cool. So it was like a horror Arcade version. But you know, and believe it or not, there's like a hobo superhero in the whole hobo superhero world. And like, because when I was traveling around the country in '92, I basically like hitchhiked. You know, and I was like David Banner, and people like, oh, like a hobo, and I was like, yeah, you know, like a hobo, and then like a couple of people like, no, you're hobos, and like they told me that there's like hobo symbols, and you know, when you get out to Albuquerque, it's warm out there. So between Albuquerque and San Diego, there's a lot of like people who do ride the rails. You know, from New York, you don't really, you know, it's homeless people, and you don't want to touch them. But when you go out west where it's warm, and these people can legit like. They travel, they'll work on a farm, they'll stay there for a while. There is this like hobo culture thing. And so I found out that there's like symbols, there's like their own like little mythology, you know, they have like a code. And I got really into it I never did it. I didn't like go work on people's farms. So it's like I was going to college, but like I was fascinated by it. So I did have this like whole like, and it's tied into Lee lines, and the hobos could, you know, disappear through Lee lines, and like they like interdimensional hobos and stuff. But anyway, so I'm just letting you know. So when you see all this stuff 5 years from now, 6 years from now, I'm not stealing your idea.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, that's hilarious. I mean, it's the collective unconscious.
Right, you know? Right. Like I've actually reached to Dave Brink, and I was like, you know, I have a story that I was already in the works called The Sleeper Agent, and then he came out with the Sleeper. But I showed him the script, and I showed him and it's so completely different, you know.
Yeah.
It's not a hot chick. It's actually like a drug addict looking guy, like emaciated, because he's always doing morphine to go to sleep because
that's cool.
He doesn't like the
the Masquerade too. There was a female, like very old superhero chick who was kind of almost like a pulp character, but she was more like the Phantom because she was in comics. But yeah, she had the name Masquerade, and she had like the domino mask and like a hat and red dress and stuff. Dynamite did a bunch of like stuff with her when they did their series The Masks, with like the Shadow, Green Hornet, and stuff like that.
She was already a character in my role-playing game, and I first got introduced to her because Alan Moore did a series called Terra Obscura. And Terra Obscura was a 6-issue miniseries, and it was set in the Tom Strong world.
Okay.
And what it was there was another planet, like on the other side of the galaxy, that was Earth, but it was called the Hidden Earth. And that's where all of those public domain characters were from. So Tom Strong or whatever, they end up getting a connection, and it's like, you know, like the Black Terror, and I'm blanking out on all these names, but Samson, there was a blind superhero named Samson. One of them was the Masquerade, and then they changed her name to the Woman in Red or something like that. But there was all of these characters. I was like, oh man, but I was like, nah, who cares? I'm just playing role playing games with my
sure. Yeah.
And at that point, I never had any idea that I would ever make a comic.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? That's a question. Have you ever dropped a character like you started doing work and you're like, can't use this character? There's something too similar, or the name is being used?
No, I don't think so. I know like the Silhouette. There's the lesbian chick in Watchmen name.
Right. She's such a minor character. Right. Like, you know, like to me, if it's like, first off, if you like, I would never use Superman. That's you know what I mean? You can't use Superman. It doesn't matter how different your character is, you just can't use Superman. Right. You can't use Batman, Spider-Man. But like a character like Silhouette, as long as it's different enough, I would have no problem with that. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, I mean, I always try to investigate the names I come up with in titles, if there's anything linked to a comic, or if there is, how similar is it? How drastically different is it? So I haven't run into anything yet where I've dropped the idea because something is out there like that. Not that I can think of right now. Yeah. But fortunate.
My friend Mike has a vigilante character. We play all the superhero games, and it's the same 4 or 5 guys, and then we have like a fantasy character. But his vigilante character, you know, those clear masks that people, you know, they wear them in the movie The Purge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he just puts this clear mask on. He puts a pipe in his mouth, and then he wears a fedora. Mm-hmm. And his vigilante name is John Q. Public. You know, and it was so much like when I read The People, I was just like, oh man, it's so much. But it was like, and that character kind of inspired, because the Public Eye was the character that I played.
Right.
And when my friend Jimmy ran the games, I was the Public Eye, and I would talk like a freak and a weirdo. You know, it was me doing a Rorschach impersonation. I wear my homages on my sleeve, you know. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, when Mike did the Public, when Mike did John Q. Public, we were like almost like, Mike, we got to stop. This is getting too scary. His weapon was a plastic comb, you know. So I want to use that character at some point, but like I could have sworn I saw somebody had a character called like John Q. Public or something like that.
I don't know.
Google search, but I'm so disappointed.
The mask is cool though. That mask you're talking about, like, right. I always thought it's creepy. It'll be also interesting and probably hard to illustrate that mask.
I was thinking about that. Like, how do you draw that? You know,
right.
The colorist really has to, I think, do the heavy lifting.
Really has to understand what the look is going for. Yeah.
Oh, back to the arcade. So it's $30, and what you could, from opening, like if you were there waiting for you guys to open, you could be there from opening to closing.
Yeah. We actually, when we first opened too, we had these like for kids, like achievement booklets, and you'd have to do special things to earn points, and then that could give you money off of snacks or, you know, stuff like that. So one of them was be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Oh, and wow.
So on weekdays, we're open till midnight. Every day we open at 11 a.m. And then Friday and Saturday, we close at 2 a.m. So you could be there all day.
Little kids are sleeping in the corner. You gotta get sleeping.
But yeah, it's $25 for the arcade or $30 for both. Or if you just want to do pinball, it's $20 for pinball.
See, in the mall near me, there's, I can't think of the name of it, but every once in a while, my wife will be like, "You want to?" We call it an 80s day. You want to do an 80s day? You know, we go down to spend the day in the mall. We eat at the food court. You know, like she should tease her hair big. You know what I mean? I should acid wash jeans. Mm-hmm. But it's $20. But I'm sure it's a fraction of your place. You know, and it's just fun because there was I'm sure you have it at your place, the Avengers arcade game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I used to and I only stopped because you ran out of money as a kid.
Yeah.
But now we actually beat it. because
you don't need coins, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's the same way. You pay $30. You just hit reset, continue. They have the same thing, I think, with the Ninja Turtles. 4 people could play. And it's funny because me and my wife were playing. I was Captain America. She was Hawkeye. And then, we were playing for like 2 hours trying to beat this game. And some kid came over and joined us. And he was the Vision. And me and my wife were like, get the hell out of here, kid.
Yeah.
But, and we played pinball. Ghostbusters pinball is a great pinball. The Addams Family pinball, it was really fun. But
yeah, Addams Family's Twilight Zone's great. We have that.
Now the problem with pinball machines is they break, they fall apart, there's wear and tear. So do you have a full-time maintenance guy? Do you fix them? Do you have a specialist who comes?
Yeah, we have a maintenance guy that's in most every day, every morning. He comes in early. And then, we have a few guys that, like the owner and my brother, could work on games if they need to. And some guys, I could change buttons and joysticks and light fixtures and stuff like that. But like if there's a board issue, you have a specific guy that looks at that, or maybe it has to get sent out, which is rarely it does. The big issue is like the monitors, right? Because we're always looking to buy CRT monitors because they don't make them anymore. So we just have like hordes of them stashed until one of them goes out, and then you got to switch them out and stuff like that. So that's kind of the big issue, is getting those original monitors.
Because I had a friend, kind of a wealthy guy. He moved away, and he had a pinball machine in his basement. And when they played it and they got tired of it, there was like a whole community that they knew online, and they would swap them out with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for the cost of moving, me and you would swap our pinball, and then there was like, they got in touch with maintenance guys, but he ended up stopped doing it because the maintenance was too difficult. Like,
oh yeah.
He goes, you always got somebody, oh, we're done with this pinball machine, let's swap out. And then you give them a perfectly good pinball machine, and they gave you one that needed.
You get crap.
Yeah, and they were
that sucks. Yeah, we have a pinball guy as well that comes out. So they're a little harder to work on than the arcade games.
Yeah, is this like, is he like a specialty guy, or is he just like a handy guy that learned pinballs? Because
no, he's a passion for pinball, and so he knows a lot about it, and he lives close too, so he'll stop in like once a week and check on the pins.
Yeah, that is like just think about how rare that skill is to repair pinball machines,
especially now.
Yeah,
no one's learning that stuff.
Yeah, I my wife and I, like, usually around this time of the year, we'll go upstate and go to bed and breakfasts. I always say bread and breakfast, and she makes fun of me, and she's probably watching this, so I'll make sure I say the right thing: bed and breakfast. And one of them we went to, they had a player piano in it, and it was just, the thing was like 100 years old, and like, they had a little sign on it, "Don't touch," you know what I mean? But I was just looking at it, how cool it was, and that put me down a rabbit hole. And I found out that there's like one family that maintains player pianos in all of America, and that they're like in their 70s.
Wow.
And supposedly when they die, it's gone. Like, these player pianos are so intricate, and it's not electronics, it's all mechanical, and precision, and to replace something, you actually have to carve it, and shape it yourself. And these guys have like tiny little tools, and they're almost like jewelers and cabinetry.
Super specific,
right? And I remember one of my supers at work, he was just like, yeah, he's sitting with us at lunchtime, and he goes, yeah, I got this stupid player piano in my basement. Because I finally got rid of it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you got rid of it? Because I gave it away. I was like, those things are like $250,000. And he's like, you're fired. I can't believe you got rid of this. And I told him that whole story. Like, I watched that documentary probably 12 years ago. Who knows if this family is even still alive?
Yeah.
But there's literally people, you know how people buy fine art and they wait for the artist to die?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's people holding on player pianos, and when these people are dead, they're officially artifacts from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not ignoring the chat, guys.
That's
I'm sorry.
crazy.
I just didn't want to interrupt the flow. Have you ever played the Arkham Batman games?
Yes.
Yeah. Those are
Yeah,
video games. Those
not
are
all of them. But
yeah.
Yeah, my brother's a huge fan of those.
Yeah, I'm going through the chat now, see if there's anything that I missed. Yeah, so you're Chicago. He said earlier somebody asked where you were. Are those statues behind you?
Yep. Yeah, I love statues. They're too expensive to continue collecting. But yeah, I have a Hellboy right there. Sideshow Hellboy. He's got the horns and the crown. Swamp Thing, another Sideshow Swamp Thing. Love Swamp Thing. He's one of my favorite characters. Down here, you can't see it because the little tag here, but Lobo is under Hellboy. And then up top is another Lobo. You can see him on his motorcycle right there.
So you like the monstery superheroes, huh?
Yeah, Swamp Thing, love Swamp Thing. Yeah, I guess Hellboy too. They're both monsters. Lobo, I just love the character, his attitude. I'm a huge fan of those 90s miniseries. Simon Bisley's art. Freaking amazing. Oh, and I also have, it's very blurry, but see that mask, the mask up there? Okay. I did a watercolor painting of the mask, and then in front of it is a Mezco mask toy, which is badass. Cool. Oh, and then also I have Marv under Swamp Thing, but you can't see him.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Comes to the city.
Swamp Thing is one of probably my top 5 favorite comic book characters of all time.
Yeah.
I always like what I call the Pinocchios, the characters that lost their humanity and therefore they cherish and they want to be a real boy. Like Hellboy is, even though he was never human, I'd put him in that same category. But like the Thing, the Hulk, Swamp Thing,
Yeah, the longing to be what they once were, or to be normal,
Right.
It's like Nightcrawler is kind of like that too.
Yeah, Nightcrawler fits in that group. Yeah. I'm playing an interactive Batman game right now. They do a cool twist where Harley Quinn is more abusive one instead of the Joker. As long as she's a lesbian girl boss, that's all that matters, right? Talk about a character that just got destroyed. Like, to me, Harley Quinn works best as the Joker's girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, she's literally the Joker's girlfriend, and it doesn't matter what she does, the Joker is just a jerk to her. And I know that sounds mean and it's sexist and misogynist or whatever, but that's just the dynamic for those two characters. Like, I want Superman and want Lois to be a good loving couple. I want Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor to be a loving couple. But for Joker, they're villains. She's a crazy, she's a serial killer fangirl, and he's a serial killer. Like, it shouldn't be a healthy, normal relationship.
Well, yeah, I mean, around that same time that the characterization of her flipped and went, she's her own character, she has her own title, she's leading the Suicide Squad, now she's hanging out with the Birds of Prey. Like, they force-fed comic readers that character as much as they did Deadpool at the same time, to a point where you'd go to a comic convention and 75% of people dressing up were either Deadpool or Harley Quinn. And it was
funny that you said that. Those are my throw people in there. These are my 3 most hated comic book characters. I'll never forget, I had a birthday party and I would rent out a hotel meeting room, and we would just set up tables, and we'd have like 30-40 people playing board games. And one of my friends bought a girlfriend, sexy chick, and she's wearing the Harley Quinn, but the red sleeve and the blue sleeve and the white, like the Margot Robbie Harley. And I just looked up at it, and right then and there, I didn't say it to anybody, but in my mind, I was just, I hate Harley Quinn. Like, here's this normie, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I love comic books, Harley Quinn.
Right. Yeah, it did, like, that was probably the second or third wave of them normalizing comic books, through the films and such. But yeah, I mean, even before they did the first Deadpool movie, in the comics, I was already tired of Deadpool because they made him into a cartoon character,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, first off, I just like the name to me doesn't make sense. Deadpool, like if you but the movie actually did a pretty good job of making
that work.
Yeah, making it work. But the comics never made like Cable to me is the worst superhero name ever. Cable. F does that mean? But they turned, like you said, they turned him into like a jokey, quippy character, and I can't stand breaking the fourth wall. Like
I actually have a theory on why he's called Cable.
Okay.
And it's just a fan theory.
Well, lay it on me. Maybe it'll make me not hate the character.
All right.
If it makes sense in my brain, that's all that matters.
Now, this only works if Rob Liefeld named the character.
I think he did.
So if he did, here's my theory. He's never said it or anything. I know Rob is a religious guy. I hear that Rob is a religious guy. So Cable is a baby. He gets teleported to the future to get rid of his virus or whatever. That doesn't work. But he comes back, and he has a evil twin brother, Strife, that is trying to kill him. And I think his name is Cable because he is the first child of the X-Men, of Jean and Scott, and it's an amalgamation of Cain and Abel, and his name is Cable.
Okay, if that, you just ticked it over a little bit,
Yeah, I don't know.
You diminished my hatred a little bit.
My headcanon, you got Strife is trying to kill him. He's the more powerful version of Cable, and I think somewhere that is an explanation of how his name kind of works.
Well, now me and you, when we run Marvel Comics, we'd have to tell a story where it's revealed that he is a split personality, like of Cain and Abel, and within himself. The topic of me and you running Marvel Comics, one of the first things I would do if I became the emperor of all things Marvel Comics is set out a mini series of the rehabilitation of Cyclops. What a character that I absolutely loved. And even before the SJWs, like, I hate to say it as much as I love Louise Simonson, but that whole, when he left Madeline Pryor to go sniffing back to G, like, dude, you have a kid.
Right.
You have a kid. It doesn't matter that she's the Goblin Queen. You didn't know that at the time. We didn't know that at the time. And it wasn't that at the time. They created that later on to absolve Scott of the guilt. But so I would make the story of, like, Scott Summers is just like, I got possessed by evil. I turned into this. I did this, and then he would just be like, wait a minute. Every important person in my life was a telepath. My very first mentor was Charles Xavier, the most powerful telepath. Then my first love was Jean Grey, a telepath. Then later on, I'm with Emma Frost, a telepath. And then, like, I would have him, like, go to, like, Doctor Strange and just be like, use the eye of and Doctor Strange would be like, your brain is just filled with scars from all of these telepaths. Your whole life, like Cyclops would be like, have I ever had a thought that was my own? And Doctor Strange would be like, you need to, whatever. So I would have him go back to Alaska, back where his family was from, go into adventures and, like, be by himself and be his own person for the first time ever.
Secluded.
And,
not have to run a team.
His brain, do some meditations or whatever, and purge himself of all of this just how many fingers have been in his brain since.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and has he had a solo series?
I know he's had a Cyclops and Jean Grey series, but I don't know if I know I was gonna say they had one, but it's future, or it's the past multiverse version of him hanging.
Sure.
But the real Scott's, like, I would just, like, not like him drinking around coffee, but like he goes to Alaska, they find werewolves or fights bears or whatever, and then he comes back and he's just like, dude, these telepaths, like, whether you mean it or not, like, you got to control yourself. I've been taking damage for years, and I'm my own person now. Like just going on like a redemption arc, because
Be cool.
I love Cyclops. I love the leader
Yeah.
guy, and I love the guy whose powers are kind of a curse, and because of that, he's a stick in the mud, like Black Bolt. If the guy says anything, hey, how you doing? The coffee's nice. Boom, everybody blows up.
Yeah.
So he's got to be willpower personified.
Mhm.
He's not fun. You know what I mean? And everybody else is dancing, going to the prom and stuff like that. Black Bolt standing there. Same with Scott Summers. If he opens his eyes or his glasses falls off, he destroys a neighborhood.
Yep.
So he's a stick in the mud. And then Wolverine's making fun of him. And he's just like, I can just blast you into atoms right now, but I'm not, because I'm the good guy. And and that's why I think he's been the punching bag for 10 years, because the left embraces self-indulgence, and Cyclops is the exact opposite of he's
self-control. Yeah.
Right. He has to be so he is everything that they can't stand. And I would love to bring him back and redeem him.
That'd be awesome. No, it's cool.
Yeah, those ideas. Yeah, these are good ideas, but I don't have 20 years. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe I do. Like, I'm not talking about my lifespan, but I'm like, how long am I going to be crowdfunding comics? And unless all of a sudden it's like Ripper, and I'm making 2,000 sales an issue, and I could hire other people and do it. Like to me, the importance of that with Cyclops is this 40 years of precedent to draw on.
Let's talk about that. Talk about, like, if we had the capabilities, would you hire other writers to tell your stories?
It's funny that you said that.
Could you?
I was just thinking about that today driving home. Like,
yeah,
I'm driving. My commute to work is an hour. My commute home is a little more than an hour because of traffic. And I just got tired of music. I got tired. There was nothing on YouTube to listen to, so I just drove in complete silence and let my thoughts wander. And that's one of the things. Now, my first gut answer is no, because I'm such a control freak. But
sure.
But if Mike Barron said he wanted to write one of my stories, of course you say yes. If you wanted to write one of my characters, of course I'm going to say yes. You know what I mean? Chuck, now I'm flattering myself that you guys would actually do it. But like, if I had Ripper success, why not?
Yeah, it would be so different, like, than anything I'm used to, right? Because all the stuff that I put out, I've written. And how would it feel? Would it be like having, someone else, raising your kids or looking, after your dog or something? And would we be worried about it? And
yes, I would absolutely, because I'm a big continuity person.
Yeah.
And all of my stories somehow or whatever all fit the same continuity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even that Western story, you know what I mean? So if you were to write for me, I would have to tell you secrets that I don't want to.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, keep this in mind, or do I tell you this thing, or you
write the script to me and I'm just like, no. Why?
Right.
I can't tell you. And then you don't want to work because you think I'm an idiot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then Mike Barron says, "Well, this is the way it works," and stuff like. And I'm like, "Well, that goes against my continuity." But you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to tell Mike? You know what I mean? Like, like I'm flattering at myself that Mike Barron would ever.
Or like, or instead of like the story, have like a scripter. You could write the basic plot outline.
That I would do.
So.
But
yeah, because like that's more like a Marvel method type of thing. And I'm sure that's taken place in mainstream. Like, an editor has a plot for a story and gives that to a writer, and they run with it. Who knows?
Yeah,
but that'd be interesting.
So I got a question: do you send your artists full scripts? Do you give them just plots? Do you give them Marvel method?
Yeah, all of my scripts are full scripts, and yeah, they're pretty, and I'll do a final pass too, because I letter my own stuff. So if the art is a little bit different than what I have down in the full script, then that, the lettering phase gives me leeway to change whatever I want dialogue wise. And some panels may not have full dialogue in them. If I know that, since it helps that I letter, so I could come back to that panel and be like, oh, I didn't write what they're saying here. I just put out an idea, so the artist has a a vibe of maybe an expression, and then I could fill that in later. So it's
Yeah,
full script, but
I write
I don't battle people. I don't battle artists on if they have an idea they want to put in there. You know,
I write full scripts because I just, to the point, what one of the guys was just like, "Could you do it Marvel method?" And I tried and I just couldn't. I said no.
Yeah.
Not that I'm opposed to it. I just don't know how to do it. So I said, here's a full script, but like Renzo, he really likes everything laid out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Arkham is changing things, and you saw that wonderful Typhon picture. Like, I'm going to say no to that. And then Fabrizio is like, I have ideas. Do you mind if I change this? And the secret guy already told me he was changing. Like, he just told me, I'm changing this. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to argue with you. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
yeah.
Yes, but so I'm not opposed to anybody, because it is a collaboration, and and the artists. Yeah, I like one panel. I said I put in, I guess, too much detail, and Renzo turned it into 3 panels. So one page, instead of having like 4 panels, had 7 panels, and I'm like, yeah. So all my dialogue is, I write out all the dialogue on every, Phil said this, John said this, Phil said this, but that's all liquid. I'll change that because the panel changes, like I in issue 2 coming out of Heroic Tales, I did my first joke. It's hard to write humor, but the
terrifying as well.
But I think it was a language thing or whatever. But when I got the original art, I had to remove the joke because the facial expressions didn't match up, you know what I mean? And the timing was off. So I tried to be funny. Yeah, so Arkham right here, 100% on that. Like, he's already, and I already said that, like, change it. It's kind of fun. Like, only one time, and I felt bad because you don't want to tell the artist to start all over again, but I had to ask Renzo to change something. I was literally laying up in bed, like, do I pay him again? Do I pay him for another page? Because I couldn't. This changed so much. Like, I can't. So finally, I was just like, Renzo, because he was like on page 12, and this was on page 3, and I was like, "Can you go back to page 3?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure, 2 taps." And I was like, "What the hell does that mean? Is this a Spanish expression?" What the hell does he mean? But literally, he does it digital. So everything is on a different layer with him.
Yeah. That's working digitally is great for editing as well. So I've had to do, like, in The Man with No Strings, the main character has a unique gun to him. It has a special hammer on it, and it doesn't have a trigger guard, and that's not how it always was. So the first time we did the story, and you'll see it on the cover, he has just 2 regular 6-shooters. But as I was writing the story, I wanted to give him a more unique pistol, and Oliver was totally fine with the edits. He just went back in to his digital file and then edited the stuff, So that's one of the perks of having a digital artist.
I had no idea. Like, oh yeah, 2 taps, and then like 7 minutes later, he changed.
It's done. Yeah.
Because all he had to do was draw that one little piece of a panel, and I was like,
sure.
Oh my god! I was thinking, like, we had to throw away the whole page, and I would have paid for it again because you only get one chance to do your first comic. You know what I mean? Phil, I can't get past the texture of lack of an almost TO in many options in digital.
Too many options.
Too many options.
Yeah. For artists, sure.
Like, yeah, because people have said to me, "Hey, John, why don't you color your own stuff? Like, you can't draw, but you can color." And I got to say, for a good 5 minutes, I thought of it. Then I was like, "No, there's so many colors. That's a skill in itself."
Oh yeah, color theory.
Yeah, so I can't.
I wouldn't know where to start.
I'm happy to work with Oscar. I'm happy to work with Daniel. They're amazing. They're fun to work with. If ever you get a chance to work with Oscar, like 3 days later, he's done. He's awesome, professional.
That's great.
Yeah. Do you have like a stable of guys you want to work with, or guys and girls that you got your team?
Yeah. Just people I've worked with over the years, and my colorist that I work with has done almost everything we've worked on. Eugene Bativu, he did all the Lost Pages stuff, Magic Cop, and yeah, I love working with him. He's just so, he will tailor his color style to the artist that you put him on. So like if you see his work on our Magic Cop series with my brother's art, it's crazy 1980s retro color style, synth wavy, you know, very neon Miami Vice look. But then him working on like Dan Dahl's art for the Lost Pages, it just looks so professional and gritty. It's awesome.
Yeah.
He's great. The Howl Comics, Alan Alonso, he does a bunch of our logos. He does the Masquerade series for us as well. Dan Dahl, who's done a bunch, he did all the People illustrations. And yeah, over the years, we've just, you know, become pretty close with these guys and really want to just keep working with them forever.
That's fun. Yeah. Because I'm sure you're getting people reaching out. You know, do you need an artist? You need an artist?
Sure. Yeah, all the time.
You know, and I've been very, like, Arkham just, I forget now. I'm getting forgetful of my old. I think he posted some of his art, and I was just like, dude, I got a story for you. But
Yeah.
a couple of people just like, I want to work with you, like Stippling Vaughn. I didn't know he was an artist. That he was just a guy. Like I've seen him on Vanessa Danger's channel.
Yeah, Vaughn's great.
Yeah, Vaughn's great, and he was like, I want to work with you, and I was like, oh. And then I get nervous. Like, what if they're no good? What if I just don't like their art? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings,
Yeah.
and I don't want to just buy stories, you know, because it costs me money. I got
for sure. Yeah, my thing is I don't have enough stories right now. I mean, I do, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and start production on things before finishing series. You know, the series that I'm working on now, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm investing in this project that people aren't going to be able to read for, you know, a couple of years because I'm doing other things.
I'm doing the same thing because to finish the story, Stippling Vaughn is awesome. You've got to see what he's doing.
Oh no, yeah, I have some of his work too. Yeah, he sent me an ash can he did a while ago, and he does like streams too of him doing art. Yeah,
if you watch Stippling Vaughn's channels on Saturdays and Sundays, he's been working on my story.
Yeah,
so you can see the first page in it. I actually told my wife, I was like, honey, you got to look at this. I'm like, that is my story. How good that, because it's set in the Articles of Confederation, so after the Revolutionary War but before the Civil War, and you know, before the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah,
and he's just making it look like old wood carvings and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his stuff is awesome.
It's so crazy. But that is so much fun to see. But like you said, I got 10 stories in the works, but it wouldn't, like, I would be nervous if they were all churning out a page a week or, you know, whatever. But they're all working at their own schedule. So, like, you know, I got to pay for it. If all 10 guys in 1 week handed in pages, oh my God. I was like, you know,
yeah.
So I get a little nervous sometimes, but they're all working out their own schedule. And then,
then
I'll be able to I want to do like 3 or 4 comics a year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to build it up. Like right now, I'm going to have, within 12 months, I'll have 2 issues. I think that's pretty good for a good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we just shipped out Psycho Slumber in, I don't know, February or May or something. It was earlier this year, and then now we're doing this one. That's another thing too, is like letting your artist work at their comfort pace to get the best work out from them. Right. So when I first started talking with Oliver, I just had him do concepts for the characters and villains in this series. And I'm like, this stuff is so good. I had to get it out of my head. I've been, you know, thinking about it, writing about it, and planning it for a while. I saw his work, had him do the concept art, and then I had this short story, and I'm like, I want you to get started on this. And now he's basically on the technically 3rd issue. So issue 0 is totally done. It's edited, it's lettered. We're printing them ourselves too. So this is a floppy we printed, and this version is on newsprint. So there's a newsprint version that people are able to get their hands on. It's going to have a retro 80s or 70s, actually 60s, 70s cover, old West style cover with this is all dot colored. And this, of course, is just for the campaign. It'll be you'll be able to see the villain here. But
how are you printing them yourself?
We have a printer that prints, folds, and binds floppy books. At the company with the arcade also owns a print shop, so we could print like vinyl wraps,
oh my God.
posters.
Now, would you be willing to, a comic book called Heroic Tales? Would you be willing to get some newsprint versions of that? Like, would you take on other people?
So a lot of we've been talking about this, and yeah, everybody asks. I think once we get it down to a hard science and flow and actually price things out for other people, I think we'll be able to. We literally just got new newsprint in today because we were having some issues with a thinner newsprint we were using, and we printed some more test copies, and they look freaking awesome. It feels even better too. It's a 50-pound newsprint, so it has like a rough feel to it. It's great. So this is the first thing we're testing it out on, and yeah, I think if people are,
when Eric July was on my channel, I was just like, you're the guy with he's with the Daddy Warbucks kind of guy, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not saying be everybody's boss, but like, wouldn't it be great to have like a central printer and a place to send the files, they print them and ship them out.
Yeah.
And then within 6 months he announced Rippaverse. So I'd like to take credit for inventing
Rippaverse, yeah.
And but he was like, that's a good, like, he didn't say already on it. He said, that's a good idea. And then so I'd like to say, but like, that would be awesome. Like, now I'm not saying compete with Rippersend, but like, the more the merrier, you know what I mean? Like, friendly competition is maybe indie comics don't have to be $40 an issue and
right
in between,
So that's why, we're doing this series as an ongoing single issue series. So this is issue 0 is done. It's going to ship out in November. So you guys are going to have it very soon. And the newsprint version is only $10. We're able to do blank sketch covers too. So artists out there, you can grab one of those and draw on the cover, make your own cover. But issue 1 is fully drawn, just needs to be lettered. Issue 2 is more than halfway illustrated. Issue 3 is already fully written. So that's what I'm trying to do as well. Keep this.
See, this is awesome because I forgot Pete Sabetti over at Alterna is offering to print other people's comics. And I'm very fond of Alterna Comics. It's one of the first things that like it introduced me to guys that I'm literally friends with and talk to every day, like Fabrizio and Brian and John Howard and stuff. Like but I think this is great. Like, you're doing it, Pete Samedi's doing it. Like, I don't think Rippa is printing or anything like that. I think he's just getting them printed and then shipping. But wouldn't it be great if we literally could set up our own infrastructure? And when I say us, like, I'm including myself in your plan. what I mean is like the indie sphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like,
I think that'll be awesome.
Supposedly the big guys, who I'm talking about, they're not doing anything, like this. It's the gutter trash that are making their own printing presses and starting up their own distributing centers and stuff like that. Like, this should be the $1 million campaign guys.
Yeah, this is it's really cool that we were able to evolve like this, doing crowdfunded books, now being able to print our own books. And then what I want to do eventually, because this series is going to be in black and white, when we get, say, 4 or 5 issues in that'll finish the first arc, I'd like to collect it, have it colored, and then probably crowdfund a collected version of that. So yeah, it's been really cool learning how to print the stuff, and because like I could make a new edit tonight and then print another proof tomorrow. So it's really
awesome.
Cool.
What are the odds that you work at? This sounds like the coolest place in the world. Like,
I know.
Arcade, and you could print. Omnipro says something. Kinko's copies, they have those type of printers that could do this. And then first off, hello, Courtney. I haven't seen you in a long time. How's everything, Courtney? It's good.
What's up, Courtney? I haven't seen it at Kinko's in a long time.
I live in New York. Long Island, I haven't seen a Kinko's, and if there is a Kinko's, I still have a $25 card because I used to use Kinko's a lot. So I put money on the card to use it, and I still have the card because I refuse to throw it away because I'm that cheap. I got a $25
The Kinko's I know over here just was turned into a FedEx store.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was a buyout or anything.
I know that there's an Office Depot that I go to scan. Like Renzo sent me, like I bought some. Every once in a while, I'll ask him to draw it out, and I want to buy that page.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So he'll draw it out and he'll send it to me, and he sent me a bunch of art, so I scanned it so I could put it on my campaign page to sell Renzo's art. But Office Depot, I know that used to be a Kinko's 25 years ago. And Horror Bro says, John, you're gonna be tired at work tomorrow. I'm working 3:30 to 10 now, so that's why I'm streaming this late. I would not choose to stream.
Perfect. Yeah.
And but you can, like yesterday, I kept poor Heather up, and she said for 2.5 hours we talked. She had to wake up in 3 hours.
Oof.
Now, what does this say? Also, the funding also directly. Yeah, you got your own website. That's something I'd like to do. Like I don't know if it's viable right now. Like I'm happy with Luke Stone to fund my comic, but eventually I would like to have my own. Like my dream is to have my own website, do my own comics there, and then make it a store where you can get like everything. Like you click on it and it's all the cards, because I try to make 7 cards.
Yeah. You definitely need that. If you're doing indie comics, and especially if you have a book now that you have overstock that you're sitting on that new people would be interested in grabbing, having a website is important.
Right. It's like, not just yet. I only got 1 issue yet, and
sure.
Like you got to pay for maintenance for your website. Like, is it a monthly cost? Like $50 a month would just eventually destroy any money that I made in these comics.
Yeah, I mean, you have your website domain like holders or whatever, like Squarespace, Shopify, all that stuff is a annual fee usually.
Yeah, I that's something. Like I had a forum, like that's another thing. I want to put a forum, so like, we could talk about the latest, patriarch story, Mary Sue, who's your favorite, blah blah blah. Talk about that, then talk about movies and talk about like, I don't know if you remember like the old forums that Marvel and DC had for so long. I really enjoyed that. Getting the newest Fantastic Four comic, going over to the Marvel forum, and then towards the end it was everything's the worst and everything sucks, and but for a long time it was just like, oh man, I haven't seen the Mole Man since this, and then like, did you notice this panel over here? Mole Man did this. That was because of Jack Kirby. I missed that. I like that kind of stuff. Hey, Maromi, how you doing? Good to see you.
What's up, man?
They were taken over by the German. They changed their name to Kinkies. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah. So, anything you want to say? We've been talking for an hour and a half, and I really like. Getting kind of sleepy.
Go to zadecomics.com. Grab this book. The turnaround time is going to be really quick on it. It's going to be out in November. It's just the start of a long-running, ongoing series. If you guys love spaghetti westerns and in-your-face action, you're gonna really dig this. The thing that I love about spaghetti westerns is those heart-wrenching, gut-punching twists that happen, and it's something that I really wanted to incorporate in this series. So stay tuned for that stuff. See how well it goes.
Is it a continuing story, or is it like each issue self-contained? Or
no, it's a continuing, ongoing series. So yeah, this one is short to establish the character, so what's going on, and then issue 1 through 5 is going to be a story arc. And it's interesting too, because I'm now writing this story differently than I did like the Lost Pages. The Lost Pages, those were like thick books, 60 to 82 pages each. So pacing that is different than pacing an ongoing series where you have to end on a cliffhanger each issue. So it's kind of like more of a mainstream title that way. It's paced differently than that. So I'm having a lot of fun with it though.
Yeah. I just got this while we were talking, but this, when you talk about character sketches, so wow. This is Arkham. This is going to be the trading card for the main character. Who's I'm not telling the names or anything like that of the characters yet until we're ready. But this, yeah, I'll make it bigger. How do I do that? There we go.
I think the plus at the bottom there. Whose art is this?
This is Arkham right here.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so he started doing a couple of pages, and then I said, put your pencils down. The way I normally work is like, okay, you read the script, you know what the story's about. Let's do like a character study, and then we'll use that art to make the trading card.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't go too crazy. Let's just make sure that boom, this is what he's got. I was like, I told you not to go crazy, but it's perfect. So you know what I mean? But this is literally exactly what I pictured in my head.
I love how long his helmet is too.
Yeah.
You know, it goes down way past his chin. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's the helmet of Hades that turns you invisible.
Oh yeah, nice. That's dope.
And wrapped around him is the golden fleece. And then that spear is made from the tooth of the Grey Sisters, that one tooth that they all shared. You know, cool. So him and his wife are archaeologists, and they were looking for the last resting place of the Grey Sisters. And in Greek mythology, it was said that it was a cave in the Atlas Mountains. So they spent like years and they find it. And not only do they find the tooth and the eye of the Grey Sisters, but they find like a treasure trove of all of these. So you could see he's got Hermes sandals on. I don't know if you can see it in that picture. So he's just like, you know, he's got all of these Greek artifacts
out. Yeah.
And finding out there's something going on. You know, this story reveals the fate of the Greek gods, what the politics of the Greek gods, and things are going on that are affecting the real world, and something bad's going to happen unless we change it, but we don't want to change it because we need the thing that, you know what I mean? So he's like almost going to be like a climate change guy, except he's not a climate change guy. He legit knows something bad is this way coming. So
that's awesome.
So this is going to be the trading. I don't know if we're just going to have to like isolate that figure and put it on the card. You know, I don't know, but Arkham is out of his freaking mind in the absolute best way. And I told him, I said, I picked you because I picture like Frazetta and Mobius mushed together. But anyway, I just took away time from you talking about your comic.
No, I love that. I love Greek mythology. That looks freaking awesome. I'm excited for that. That book's going to be wild.
Yeah. So that's going to be in Heroic Tales 5 or 6. That guy's ripped. Yeah, he's based on Greek mythology. He's got to be ripped. So anyway, you got the Man with No Strings. I'm really psyched. I'm a big fan of your books. I think I got everything that you put out except for like I think there's like a limited thing that I might have missed. Do you have like a website where I could look at literally everything Zade Comics puts out?
Yeah, so that it's the same site, zadecomics.com. There's a comics section on there. Okay. You'll see everything. And then the campaign section is for this. It's our pre-order campaign. So you'll be able to get all that stuff. There's shirts on there too if you guys want to rep cool. Any of this stuff. We got a magnet for this campaign as well. And every week we're dropping like a new thing of original art, like a new sketch cover. And you can see the past ones that have been sold out. Have you seen the trailer yet?
Oh, no. Let's play the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me close out Arkham's picture and let me add. Where is it? Yeah, let's play the trailer. I'm getting so sleepy. All right. I'm going to make it big.
And yeah, if you click that, and then it'll be like a little beginning thing. Yeah, perfect.
Once upon a time, there was a gunman. His heart was cursed to rot with every soul he took. He was a man who carved a path of revenge through bullets and blood. find out how much of himself he's willing to lose in order to get back what's been taken from him. He's the man with no strings. Yeah!
That what is going on? What did I push wrong? I hate when it's that big. Okay, that's better. That is awesome. And that's Doc Blaylock's voice. I recognize that.
Yes, yeah. It is.
He's got such a great voice. It's funny because he was on my channel 2 or 3 times, I forget. And every time he comes on, my wife goes, "That's that guy with the great voice." It really is. He's a cool guy. He's sitting there with his cigarette and his coffee, right? His Philip Marlowe detective stories.
Yep, exactly. I had to get him for that. Also, that music was original as well. Citizen Ronan, who's a fan in the chat, he did the music on that. I definitely wanted that spaghetti western vibe, very ominous. So I was super happy how that came out. But yeah. Hope you guys check it out.
That picture, that close up of the face. All I could think of was that was like the best blending of Liefeld and Brett Booth.
Yeah,
look, it's really good. Good score on that artist, man. It's how's the campaign doing? This is because right now I've noticed that the thing that, well, a couple of things holding me back, but one of them is I don't embrace the image aesthetic. The early 90s aesthetic. I'm a little old for that. I like the 80s aesthetic, and I see that most of the people in the sphere are pining for the 90s. And
they love
the good stuff for the 90s and shredding the bad stuff, which was the terrible writing.
Yeah. It's doing great. So we're doing, and this helps as well since we're only doing single issues right now. I have been, or the company's been paying for it upfront from past campaigns, so that's why we have so much. We're ahead of schedule with art. He's working on the issue 2 right now, but as of now, we're paid for all of the art in this issue with the sales we've made on this, and shipping is covered by our everybody that's already paid for their shipping, so everything's going now, so we're in profit on this issue. So I'm super excited.
What are you talking about? So your last campaign, you didn't spend all that money on nonsense and living expenses and gambling?
No. Also, we were very fortunate. We fulfilled cash grab for Cecil as well. So we had some money left over from that, and we've been putting it into this series. So we're recouping that with this pre-order campaign and the sales on that. So we're gravy, man.
Good for you. I did the same. I laid out the money for issue number 1, and then whatever I made on issue number 1 is paying for issue number 2. And now issue number 2, it didn't do as well as issue number 1, but everybody told me, before I launched, they're like, don't get your hopes up because everybody does a 50% loss. Well, I did 2/3. So I lost 1/3, and I'm hoping maybe people pick up once they see I'm shipping again. That happened last issue. Oh, you're shipping? And then I got a bunch of orders.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's always the case. That's why Indiegogo and now Kickstarter has that capability where, and Fund My Comic, where you could leave it up as a storefront in demand. That's how when we did our first book, Magic Cop 1, the campaign made $4,000 for that first book, and that's a 90-page book that my brother drew all of. And then while we were in demand, we made another $10,000.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure it ended around 14. And a lot of those came in after we started shipping, just because the reader builds that trust where it's like, oh, I see other people getting their book right now and I like it. I'm going to jump on and get it, and they'll get it quicker.
Right. I've had people tell me, I like you, but I'm not buying your book until you ship. And I'm like, I can't argue with that.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't argue it. They say I've been burnt too many times, and when I mentioned that, it was constructive criticism. Like, we need to be more careful, and we need to protect our business.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Ripperverse that's harming crowdfunding; it's ourselves. Man, did I get lambasted for speaking the truth? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it to be an insult. I meant it to be like, hey guys, let's work together and make it better. You know,
Mhm.
so whatever. They don't want to get better. So I'm done with them.
Truth hurts.
Yeah, truth hurts. Truth hurts. So now I'm getting sleepy, and I'm saying things I shouldn't say. And at that point, we'll bid adieu. Yeah, man, I always love talking to you. You're a great writer. I like your characters. Your books come. You have a good reputation. You know, this is what crowdfunding should be. You know, and in a perfect world, you would be. Well, I don't want you to quit that pinball job. That's such a cool job. In a perfect world, you'd be running a comic book company. You know.
Yeah, I need more time to write.
I meant the mainstream, going to comic book stores. You know what I mean?
Sure.
With lunch boxes.
One day, we're working on it. Thanks for having me on. I hope everybody checks it out. Like I said, it's already done. It's going to be shipping in a couple months, starting after Halloween. And hope you guys check it out.
Oh, and I'll make an update tomorrow. I try to update on Fridays and stuff like that. But my comic, we had a little bit of a setback with the coloring. The last 2 pages, I'm waiting on the last 2 pages of color. It was supposed to be at the printers by now.
Yeah,
can't print it when 2 pages aren't colored.
Right.
So I'm probably set back. This is probably going to set me back like 4 weeks. Yeah. So now, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
I was supposed to be shipping by the end of September. Looks like I'll be shipping October. I'll for those of you who are watching who are backers, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, and I'll update the Kickstarter and the Fund My Comic. And yep, see you, everybody. Cranberry Langers. I haven't seen your name in a long time. Good to see you. They can't handle it. Wow, we got 100 people watching. I don't want to end, but I gotta end. So I'm gonna start saying stuff I shouldn't say. So I'll just say goodbye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.
What was that?
That's from Howdy Doody. Clarabelle the clown never spoke, and then on the last episode he spoke and caused a whole generation of kids to shit their pants at the same time.
Wow.
I just think it's the funniest thing, so I use it as my new outro. See you, everybody.